For us to figure out if Justice could ever catch Advent, we have to specify the scenario first. Because depending on how Justice does it, I think they could maybe, perhaps, probably pull it off. In a straight up group versus group altercation, I think we can all agree that Justice has little to no chance to bring Advent in. Mainly on the back of Bijou, who is even more powerful than I made her out to be in the dedicated video. Advent would easily fight off Justice and most likely escape without any losses. That is, if we assume that Advent is all united once Justice goes for their attack, especially since Advent is a whole member more. Putting them into individual matchups is probably also no good. If Justice really wants to catch Advent, they would have to single them out. But even when doing that, they have to keep two factors in mind. First up, they would probably have to go for Bijou first, since the moment Bijou gets wind of other members of Advent getting captured, there's a good chance that that might make her emotions go crazy, causing her to enter Ascended Bibu, which would be game over for Justice, straight up. And at least from what we know, within the cell, Bijou is restricted to the point where even Ascended Bibu doesn't matter. Justice's main goal should be to get Bijou inside the cell as soon as possible, if they want a realistic shot of getting everyone in. The second thing they have to look out for is surprisingly Fuamoko. Let me explain. As it stands now, Advent and Justice seem to have some sort of truce going on, considering they are obviously not on side right now. Some might say them not fighting 24/7 might technically not be lore accurate, and more of it just making no sense for streamers in the same company to hate each other, but I'ma still go with the plot that Advent doesn't expect Justice to go for something right now. With that being said, Fuamoko might cause a problem for Justice, since they are both able to smell a person's intentions. That's at least my interpretation when they say that they can smell if someone is a good or bad person. That would mean the moment Justice just intends to bring in Advent, Fuamoko would know, or at the very least suspect it. That means Justice has to bring in Bijou first, which might already be a difficult task, and all of that has to happen without Fuamoko suspecting anything. But let's ignore that for now. Let's answer the question if Justice could bring in Bijou in a 1v4 scenario. In my opinion, I think they can. Not by fighting her though, they would have to use some sort of trick or deception, similar to how Bijou got captured the first time. The reason why I think they have to use some sort of trick is because Bijou went out of her way to say that she did not lose the fight against gods when she got celled. That is a crazy statement to just casually drop, but still, if a simple cake can bait her in, then I think with the insane amount of experience and information that Justice has, they will find a way to capture Bijou once again. Alright, let's say they managed to successfully capture Bijou without anyone else of Advent suspecting anything. I think that doesn't seal the deal quite yet. Before we get into the whole Shiori discussion, let's talk about Nerissa first. Nerissa is another member I probably underestimated in my original video. Considering her heritage, she's probably more powerful than I claimed back then. With that being said, I think the only Justice member that has a shot on 1v1ing her is Elizabeth. Honestly, that might be the most interesting fight in the entire matchup. I don't have an absolute winner in this fight, but I would probably give it slightly to Elizabeth, just because of the sheer amount of experience she has and the fact that she is infamous in the entire universe. But it's still gonna be a hard fought fight. And even if the rest of Advent didn't know this Bijou being brought in, this is most likely where both Fuamoko and Shiori would catch on and know what's going on. And this is where we have another problem. Even when we say that Shiori is not that strong combat-wise, her knowing what Justice is up to might already seal the deal. If the whole thing goes the way I just described it, which is already giving Justice many things they probably shouldn't have gotten, the moment Shiori knows what's going on, it's doomed for them. I know we don't know what Shiori really can do, but I will give Shiori the benefit of the doubt and say that in that very moment she has multiple plans in her head how to deal with the situation. Maybe even easily resolve everything. She probably also knows how to get Bijou out of the cells, since it's easier to break out when she herself is not locked up as well. And I think we all know the moment Bijou is on the loose, it's GG. Shiori is the one that, even when everything goes well for Justice, will stop any attempt of bringing the entirety of Advent in. And that's ignoring the fact that Shiori probably would know of Justice's intentions before they even made their first move. And even if Justice decides to target Shiori first, again Shiori will probably know, and secondly then Bijou would be free and well aware, which is also game over for Justice. Now, after all that, do I see Justice pulling it off? Well, yes, but only if Shiori is willing to let it happen, which surprisingly I don't see being super unlikely. Shiori strikes me as someone who would willingly get herself locked up to obtain more knowledge, but if Shiori doesn't want to get locked up again, I see a 1% chance of Justice succeeding. If everything goes right and Advent has a bad day, I see Justice pulling it off 1 out of 100 times. But what do you guys think? If you have any scenarios where Justice could do it, let me know in the comments. Have a nice rest of your day. See ya.